In this video, I'll talk about array iteration. Iteration is the process of looping over pieces of data in an array. This works with both indexed arrays and associative arrays. In this example, I have a first names array, which is an indexed array because all the keys are integers. And index arrays are arrays that map integers to data values. To iterate over an array, I would use the keyword, well, one of the ways you can do it is using the keyword for each, which is another looping construct. In here, I would specify the variable to iterate over. I'll type in first names, follow that with a keyword as. The second variable, one of the ways you can do it, is specify a variable to put the value, a copy of that value into, and I'll call it $element. And what I'll do is just in the body of the for each statement, I'll go and print out the value of element to the screen and concatenate it with a new line so that each element is on its separate line. It's also important when you iterate over a variable, for each expects an array. If I don't give it an array, it will generate an error. Above the for each, I'll type in an if statement and use the function isArray to test if the variable is in fact an array. And if it is an array, it would evaluate to true and execute the code block in the body of the if statement, which I'll tab over to the right one time to distinguish the code block from the if statement. I'll save the file, and in a command line window, I'll type in PHP array iteration.php. And what it's done is it printed out each data element on its own separate line. Another way you can kind of go about doing this, problem being is that I can't control the format of the output, is to use a print_r. That stands for print out a variable in a human readable format. Give it the name of the variable, and I'll give it the array. Save the file and run it again. Now what a print_r has done is it printed out that we have an array. It's listed all the keys in the array on the left hand side, which are the 0, 1, 2, and 3. And on the right hand side of these arrows that it's printed out are the values. Now if I also wanted to print out the types of these values, the data types, I would do a var_dump, which stands for variable dump. And running it again includes even more information. You have the keys, you have the values as before, but to the left of the values you have the data types, followed by, I guess for strings it does the length of the string, which I haven't really paid attention to until now. I'll change var_dump back to a print_r. Now let's say, for example, using array iteration, we want to make each of these strings in the array in all uppercase letters. We want and to be capital A, N, N, E. How would we go about doing that using array iteration? Well, my first thought, which isn't the correct way to do it, and I'll explain why, is that, well, to make a string uppercase, I would assign element to the uppercase version of element, which I can do with the stir_to_upper function. And what happens is when I run this, nothing happens. But I use the stir_to_upper function to make it uppercase. What's going on here? What it turns out is happening is that when I iterate over an array and use an as and put a variable after it, what happens is that it creates a copy of that data element value. So it will give me on the first step of this iteration, it will give me first names of 0, which is Anne, but it won't give me the original value. It will give me a copy. And so I'll take the copy and make it uppercase and assign it to its copy, so it never changes the original. And to change the original copy, I would have to set first names of a particular key to a value. So what I would need to do is replace the element assignment to the array name that I'm iterating over, which is first underscore names, and give it a key in square braces, which I don't know what the key should be, because I don't have it in my for each statement. But it turns out there's another variation of the for each statement, which you can specify another variable for the key. And right after the as, I'll add in a variable for the key, and I'll call it $index, and put in a equal sign followed by a greater than symbol. So the index would now be 0, 1, 2, or 3, and it would take that index and use it to index into this array. So I'd change key to index, and that would be assigned the uppercase version of the copy of the data element. So the first time I go through this, index would be 0. The copy of the element would be a copy of Anne. I would assign first names of 0 to the uppercase version of the copy of Anne, and that would change the original value to the uppercase version of Anne. So just let me add some more. Let me add a debugging statement here. I'm at key $index, and the value is $element. So let me try running this now. So it says I'm at key 0 and the value is Anne. It applied the stir2 upper on that copy of Anne at key 0, and the net result is it made it uppercase when I did a print R on first names. So the original values were changed. So you have Anne, Beth, Joe, and Mary in uppercase. And it does that because I am using the array that I'm iterating over and using the key instead of the copy of its value. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching.